Hey everybody, it's Heather Glenn here, and it's day 7 of our 7-day challenge. And I'm so proud of you guys for pushing through this whole week and really creating some momentum in your business. It's so exciting. But we're not done yet, because today we get to talk about a really important topic that is going to help you guys catapult your business to the next level. Today's topic is all about tracking your activity and the follow-up. The key is in the follow-up, and you can't follow up and know who to follow up with if you're not tracking the people you're talking to and where they are along the process. So we're going to start by talking about tracking first. So I'm just going to share some of the things that either I do in my business or that I've learned from other top coaches or I've heard other coaches doing that seems to really work. So I think one of the keys is creating some different categories, and I kind of see there being 5 to 8 main categories, and this is going to be all based on your own preference to how you want to start tracking your people. So for me, I actually have more categories than 5 to 8, but I tend to be a very detailed person and I kind of like that detail. But I'm going to talk to you guys on a high level about those main categories that I think you should be tracking your people by. So when you're tracking, you want to start with, let me take one step back, and I actually want to share that some of these categories are going to coincide with your Beachbody activity tracker. So if you look at the current tracker, you'll see there's certain categories on there that you're checking off each day. And I think some of those categories play nicely into where you're going to move people along sort of the continuum to the part where they're going to say yes. So the first category is really your leads category, and that comes from adding 3 people every day to your network on social media. And maybe it's not on social media, maybe you're meeting people out and you're adding them to an email list, or you're putting them on a manual list, but you're adding 3 people every day. Those are your leads. So you have your leads category. That's people that you want to start to build a relationship with, but maybe you haven't even gone there yet. Then the next category is really the forming category. So if you look on your activity tracker, you'll see there's something in there that says, starting 3 conversations. So this is building the trust. So you're going to take those people on your leads list and say, who am I going to start building a relationship with? So I'm going to reach out to 3 of those people and move them into the forming category. This is where you're just going to start conversations with them, and you're maybe not even getting to the point where you're inviting them yet. Then the third category really is the invited or inviting category. So this is where you're taking the person that you're forming and you're actually putting an invitation out there to them to either try a product or join your challenge group. So you want to have those people in a category because those are people that you've now talked to about the opportunity to work with you or to try a product that could change their life. So then the fourth category from there is going to be someone who's shown an interest. So really from the third category, I see it splitting off where now that you've invited them, that person's either going to go into the I'm interested in a challenge group or trying a product category, or they're going to say no. And you're going to put that person into a no, not right now category. So that no, not right now category is someone that you've talked to about working with you or trying a product, but they weren't ready yet. You don't want to lose those people. You don't want to let them go. So you need to have them in a category that you can continue to build a relationship with them and go back to them from time to time to see if maybe they're ready at that point. Then that other category is they're interested in a challenge group, and those are the people that you're going to really continue to walk through the process until you get them to say yes, or maybe they ultimately say no, and then they go back into that no, not right now category. Then from there, that person, if they say yes and they join your challenge group, they're going to move into the customer category. They've bought a product now, they're officially your customer, and you get to help them get results. So you're going to move them into that customer category. If they end up not joining your challenge or not buying, again, you can move them back into that no, not right now category. So those are really sort of the categories that I see on a high level. And if you feel like you need to break them down from there, you can. But I think those really are the key categories that you guys want to keep these people in. And, I think back to when I first started this business, and I probably spent the first year or two probably giving out samples to tons of people or inviting them to challenges, and I never really tracked it. And then half the time I couldn't even remember who I had invited, so I wasn't even able to really follow up with them. And we're going to talk in a little bit about the importance of following up and how that's going to boost the number of people that you're going to help. But if you're not tracking and you don't remember who you've talked to, you certainly can't follow up with. And that was a big mistake that I made in the business when I first started. And then when I started getting these processes into place and having a place that I could start tracking my people, I was able to increase the number of people that said yes, because I was able to go back to those people and talk to them and get that, move them along the process. So now that you have people categorized, what do you do with those people? So on a daily basis, I see you spending a little bit of time in each of those categories. And that's how I really try to work my day. If I have 30 minutes, if I have an hour, I try to split it. It's not always equal, but between the different categories, so that I'm going into that lead section and I'm adding people. I'm going into that forming section and I'm starting a few conversations. Then I'm going into my invite category and I'm following up with those, or I'm inviting those people and I'm adding them to the invite list. Then when I'm ready to follow up, I move them into my follow-up list, and I look at that follow-up list all the time and find people from that list that I need to reach out to. And I keep notes on these people so I know what we've talked about or where we've been communicating, whether it's through email, Facebook message, or text message, so that I know the best way to connect with those people. Now, when the people have moved into the no, not right now category, what do you do with those people so that you don't let them just sit there? So a couple of ideas I have are, you can use social media to help you with this. So one thing I do, there's two things I do on my Facebook page. If there's someone I'm really interested in working with, then I will actually flag those people on Facebook as either a close friend so that I get notifications when they post stuff, or I might put them so that I see their posts at the top of my feed first. And you guys will notice when you go into Facebook, if you see where the friend button is, you can actually click on that and it'll give you options for what type of friend or how to categorize that friend. And so if you put them at the top of your feed or as a close friend and get a notification, you will be able to see their activity on a more regular basis, and you can comment and like and engage with them. So it's a great way to keep forming those people who are on your no, not right now list, so that you want to work with those people. They're not ready yet, but you want to keep that relationship going. Now, another way you can do that is put a reminder in your calendar to follow up with that person at some point. And whether it's a follow-up to a future challenge group that you have coming up, or you just want to check in again on something, maybe their birthday's coming up, or you had a conversation about something and you just want to touch base. I think having markers in your calendar or having those people in front of you on your social media is going to help you continue to build that relationship. So it's really important to do that. Now, when a person has moved to your customer category, you're not done just because they're a customer. So you also need to be doing follow-up with your customers, because you don't want to lose them now that you've done all the hard work to get them. So some things you can do with your customers are, one, once they've purchased a program or a product, creating some type of an introductory email or a resource email. And this is something that you can keep in a snippet somewhere, or somewhere where you can go and kind of copy paste for all your customers that come in. You may have to customize it a little bit, but it would be something where, say they buy Shakeology and you want to send them a link to some recipes, or maybe your favorite Shakeology video, or maybe you want to give them some guidance on how they can use it and what they can expect, so that you're not just the product's not just showing up and they're kind of at it on their own. Even if they're in a challenge group with you, it's really nice for them to get some one-on-one contact from you with resources so they can best succeed in using the tools. And then you will want to determine whether it's asking them how often they want you to check in with them one-on-one, or whether you want to come up with a standard format for all of your customers, checking in every few days, or maybe twice a week or once a week, really just depending on what that person might need, to ask them how it's going. And make sure that that all their questions are answered. If they're struggling with something, you can offer them another resource or strategy, or just be there to listen to them if they need someone to listen to them. So make sure that you have a follow-up process for your customers as well. All right, so that really covers a lot of the tracking piece. And what I'd love to do is just quickly mention a couple of resources for you that I've included in this post, and also in a file that I put in the file section here of this group. So it's tracking resources. So how do you track the people? I use Streak. Streak is something you can plug into Google. So if you have a Google account, you can plug it right in, and it's free. And it has a way that you can move people between categories and track certain data on them, whether it's when you last talked to them, whether it's their email address, whether it's a notes section where you keep all your notes, or maybe you have a set follow-up date. It's a great place to be able to track that data. Now, I know other coaches use Teamzy, and I know that is very tailored to network marketing businesses, and even specifically Beachbody. So that's another great resource, not something I've used, but I've heard great things about it. I do know that that's a paid option. I think it's like $30 a month, but it may be something that you feel like is worth the investment. So those are two tools. Now, of course, if you're a pen and paper kind of person, that works too. You just have to make sure that you're keeping that paper and you're checking people off. And if you have categories, you're moving them to different categories, but that nobody kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Excel spreadsheet is another option. That's what I was using before I found Streak, and that can work really well too. So you really have to find what works for you. But those are a few tools that I suggest. And of course, using your Beachbody activity tracker so that on a daily basis, you're making sure you're hitting all of those topics and you're looking at those various categories that you're putting your people into. And lastly, I just want to remind you guys that it takes time for people to warm up to the idea of working in an online challenge group. Maybe they don't get the concept yet. Maybe they aren't sure that there's going to be success out there for them. Maybe they're not sure about working with you yet because you're just starting to build that relationship. Maybe it's just not the right time in their life to get started. They've got a lot going on. They just don't feel like they're in the right place. It takes time. So don't give up on people, and don't take it personally if they say no, not right now. It just may not be the right timing for them, or they may just need to get to know you and the concept a little bit better. So keep following up, keep the relationship going. I've had people who've said they've followed me on social media for over a year, watching all the stuff I was doing with my groups and all the information I was sharing. And they finally were like, okay, it's time. I need to get going. So what you're doing now, all the forming and relationship building you're doing, the inviting, the asking, all of that is building for what can come down the line. And some people are going to say yes sooner than others. So don't give up on people. You never know who's going to turn around and say yes to you. Okay, so now I want to talk about following up. So we've got our process down for how we track people through the flow. And now we want to make sure we continue to follow up because we know this is going to take some time. So I want to share with you guys some statistics. So we've all heard the saying that the fortune's in the follow-up. But when you guys hear about these statistics, you're going to be really, really excited about all the opportunity out there, because I think most of us usually give up before we've gotten to that place where we're going to hit that gold mine of customers coming in. So one of my coaches recently went to a sales conference because she's in sales, and she shared these statistics with me. Now, it wasn't the first time I'd heard these. I've heard this before, but it reminded me that more of us need to know about these statistics so that we don't give up too soon. So I'm going to read some of these out to you. So surprisingly, 80% of the sales that will happen in your business happen after the 5th follow-up, from follow-up 5 to 12. That means you could be touching base with someone 12 times before they say yes. So keep that in mind. Only 2% of people say yes after the first contact. 2%. 2%. So if you're reaching out to 100 people over a course of, I don't know, 3 months, 2%, that's 2 people. And then if you're not following up with any of those people, you're only getting those 2 people. But get this, on the second contact, it only goes up to 3%. Okay, so this is 2 contacts, right? 2 follow-ups. Then by the third follow-up, you get about 5 of those 100 people, so 5%. Then by the time you get to the fourth follow-up, which by this point most of us have given up, right? We feel like, oh, we don't want to reach out to them again, or oh, they're never going to say yes, it's been 6 months. That fourth follow-up, you get to 10%, right? So that's 10 out of your 100 people that you've reached out to. So then you hit that magical 5th, and actually it could be the 6th, it could be the 8th, it could be the 12th. And once you get past that 5th invitation, you start to get those numbers up to 80%. So if you haven't followed up with someone 5 times, you're not done yet. And it doesn't mean following up with them 5 times in a week, but it means keeping them on that list and going back to them. And it can even be following up with people who've been previous customers to get them back on track. You can never follow up with people enough and keep them engaged. So pretty amazing statistics. Now also, did you know that 48% of salespeople never follow up? Not even one. That's half. Imagine half the Beachbody coaches out there never follow up once they've invited somebody one time. They got to know, they didn't hear back, they never follow up. That's half the coaches, okay? Let's not be that half. We've got 25% of Beachbody coaches, we'll just assume salespeople, that make a second attempt, okay? And then 12% make a third contact. So that's 85% of the people make about 3 contacts and then they stop. So they're missing that 80% of the people that could be saying yes. There's only 15% of us that are going for that 5th to 12th contact. So I really want you guys to think about that. Are you following up enough? Are you asking people enough times? Are they ready, or how can you help them, or just connecting with them in some way, even if it's not about Beachbody? You've got to stay in front of these people, and it may seem repetitive and monotonous to you, but it's going to show up as caring and professional to them as long as you do it the right way. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed those statistics. I think that's pretty amazing. So the last piece that I want to do is quickly share with you a few ways you would follow up or reasons you would follow up with someone. And I've got a couple sample scripts that I've put in the files section of this group so that you can download it and keep it and tweak it and make it your own. Okay, everyone, so I quickly want to just walk you through this document that I put in the files section. So you'll notice at the top I included some links to tracking resources so that you guys have those available. Then the next item is your follow-up conversation examples. So you're going to see that there's 3 primary scenarios where you would want to follow up with someone. So the first one is where you're helping someone along the decision path. So maybe they haven't said yes yet. You're going to be there to answer questions that they have and reassure them of the decision to get started with you, especially if they're starting to have cold feet. So a sample conversation, and you want to make this your own, is something like, I've got that group that we spoke about starting soon, and I've still got that spot for you, and I'm pumped to help you get those results that we spoke about. Did you have any other questions? So just putting it out there again with no pressure. So that's going to be one follow-up to get them to say yes and join. The other one is continuing to build the relationship and create trust. So this could be someone that's maybe said, no, not right now. Maybe it's somebody that you're just forming. a new person that you're talking to. So you want to continue to build the relationship and create the trust. Um, so, if this is someone you've talked to before, you're trying to reestablish that you want to be available to help them with their needs, both in fitness and in life, because you want them to know that you're there for them in more aspects than just whether they're going to say yes and you're going to coach them in fitness. So a sample follow-up might be, hey, just saw something on Facebook today about your daughter graduating high school, or that you went on this really cool trip to, the river, and whatever it might be that you saw on their Facebook page. Or it could be somebody else's Facebook page or somewhere else you saw something and that reminded you of them. And then you're going to say, hope you're doing well, would love to catch up soon. And not even mention something maybe about your challenge group, but just letting them know you're still there and you're still thinking about them. Now, the third type of following up is going to be to follow up because you said you would follow up. So this is keeping your commitment to them. So maybe they said no, or they were interested in something down the line, and you say that you let them know that you're going to be following up with them next month, or maybe at the end of June when they get back from their vacation. Whatever it might be, you're now committing that you're going to follow up with them. So you're going to put a note in your planner or calendar on the date you want to follow up with them so that you remember to do that. And a sample for that might be, hey, I had a reminder pop up to touch base with you again. Were you able to talk things over with your spouse, maybe if it was something they needed to talk to their spouse about? Or is now a good time to get started now that you're back from your vacation, or now that you've gotten through those finals? We can start working on those fitness goals that you talked about. So those are really kind of 3 types of follow-ups you might do, and some sample conversations you can use. So don't take it personally. Other people's decisions aren't your responsibility. So as a coach, if you've done your best to really help them solve a need and you're showing them value and they still don't respond, don't be hard on yourself. You did what you could do on your end. They need to make the decision and be ready on their end to say yes and go for it. So they may come back to you at another time. And every time you invite, you're getting experience and you're building your skill set. So even if you feel like you completely flopped and failed, you're getting the experience and you're going to fail forward. So next steps, if they do say yes, always remember the follow-up doesn't stop there. You have to keep following up with them after they've got their products, after they've joined your challenge group, and create that amazing experience for them and get them those results they want. So they want to stay connected to you and Beachbody and your challenge groups. They want to use the products and programs, and hopefully, eventually, they want to become a member on your team. Okay, you guys, I hope that you've enjoyed today's lesson on tracking and follow-up. Again, you will be able to find this document here in the files section. And today you're going to comment below for your check-in. You want to share something that you've learned today that you're going to implement in the coming week. And if you have a tracking or follow-up tip that you really love, share that too, because we can all learn from each other. The next thing I want you to share, of course, is checking in on your invitations for today. So share the minimum of 3 names of people that you've invited, but by all means, go for more than 3 if you can squeeze that in. And then lastly, since we are on our last day of the challenge, love for you guys to share one success from this week that came out of this week from you participating in this group and the effort that you've put in. We want to celebrate your successes from the week. So share one thing with us that you're really excited about that came out of your efforts this week. Thank you so much, you guys, for participating. We have had a wonderful time putting this information together for you and really supporting you on your journey as a coach. We wish you all the success in the coming weeks, months, and years. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to share from today. Thanks.